Welcome back to the 504 Core Podcast. We're here with Zack Nagy again. What's been going on, Zack?
Not too much. I'm just hectic. It's a hectic time. You're in crossover season right now. You got football recruiting and some buzz on that front, and then baseball less than 2 weeks away. You got women's basketball, men's basketball, gymnastics even. I mean, LSU doesn't give you the opportunity to sleep at all with any of these sports. So crossover season, staying busy and getting ready to kind of kick it into gear for spring camp, which is only a month away, which is hard to believe for football. So staying busy. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, we can touch on a little LSU football recruiting. They lost a commit. He was committed for what, like 5 minutes. So you want to hit on that for a second?
Yeah, so LSU lost a commitment from a really talented player, honestly. He's a top 10 defensive lineman in the country, Jeraylin McCoy. And this is a player who his recruitment's kind of been a roller coaster ride. He had Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, USC really pushing for him, but some of the programs weren't considering him a take just because he had some injury history during his junior season. Nonetheless, LSU gave him the green light to commit to the program, and he did in early January at the Under Armour All-American game. So he didn't hesitate. He didn't blink. Once he had the opportunity to commit, he did just that, to commit early. And then, like you said, less than a month later, he reopens his recruitment, and all signs point towards him committing to Ole Miss as it stands right now. He's been in Oxford 2 of the last 3 weekends. He's starting to develop a relationship with their commits, their recruiting class, Lane Kiffin, et cetera. So the expectation would be that McCoy does ultimately pop for Ole Miss. And for LSU, it's a loss just because he is a talented player with tremendous upside. I mean, 6'7", 245. He's built in a lab. But LSU also has the number 2 defensive lineman in the country in Richard Anderson, already fresh out of New Orleans, an Edna Carr guy. We know, just being Catholic League guys, that those are kind of the best of the best. So talented player with Richard Anderson. Not sweating too much McCoy at the moment. LSU has a lot of guys on their radar, but definitely one that stung in the moment for sure.
It's super early too. I mean, you see a lot of people get pretty discouraged with recruiting since Underwood and DeCorian Moore and all these other guys fell through, but it's kind of true. I mean, a guy committing way at, I think I even said it last pod when we talked about it, I was like, a guy committing way out this advance, it's I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but it's kind of like a red flag a little bit, because then you got to hold on to a kid for what, a year and a half. So
and it's impossible. You have people just dropping bags on these kids at the last second. It's almost kind of nice and refreshing to see somebody reopen their recruitment this early in the game, just to give LSU the opportunity to go find reinforcements. And surely you don't want to lose a guy in your recruiting class. Like I said, a top 10 defensive lineman at that. But to have the opportunity to continue to find reinforcements is key. You have Richard Anderson that you're going to have to hold on to until the buzzer. But it stung in the moment, but this team has so many chances to go out and get more in the 2026 class.
Yeah, isn't the 26 class loaded in Louisiana?
I mean, it's stacked. You got the number 1 safety in the country, Blaine Bradford, a top 10, top 5 safety in Aiden Hall, who's already committed to LSU, Richard Anderson, Lamar Brown, the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country, with some buzz kind of churning on him playing both sides of the ball in college. Kind of like the Travis Hunter of the trenches is what a lot of people are starting to try to declare. And then you got some quarterbacks, you got some guys to pick from. That 2026 class is loaded, man. They got some dudes.
Has there ever been a guy that's played offensive and defensive line that's been successful? I don't know.
I can't think of anybody even doing it. My assumption would be, I mean, he's already such a talented offensive lineman, but he kind of wants to play defense is what I've heard. So he sat in with the defensive coaches over the weekend when he was in town on Saturday. We'll see what happens there. That's certainly an intriguing guy, an intriguing player, with Texas A&M also swinging for the fences.
Yeah, isn't Texas A&M probably his first or second school right now? I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, I'd say LSU and A&M are right up there. He did an interview with Rivals the other day, and he was saying that those were the 2 schools that are sticking out to him most, and for the right reasons. He went to Texas A&M and had some really successful, fun visits, and then he's right on LSU's campus at U High. So he's quite literally on LSU's campus already. So you know that they're not going to let their foot off the gas when it comes to his services.
What anything else new recruiting-wise that things should be brought up for the time being?
Yeah, I mean, the weekend was a successful one. You started to dish out offers in both the 2026 and 2027 classes and really start to solidify things there. One thing that popped today was U High quarterback Emil Picarella, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. I probably butchered it. But nonetheless, he's going to kind of join the team in 2025 as a preferred walk-on quarterback. It's not one that's going to be flashy or sexy or anything because it's a preferred walk-on, but he's bypassing offers to other schools to stay in Baton Rouge. And when you have a quarterback room that all you got right now, man, is Garrett Nussmeier, Michael Van Buren, and then who knows what happens with Colin Hurley following the accident a couple of weeks back. You're sitting there with two healthy quarterbacks right now, and now you bring in Emil as a preferred walk-on who's potentially going to be working as your QB3 during spring camp potentially. So it's an interesting situation, but they did just go out and get a preferred walk-on. He's not going to count towards the 85-man scholarship count or anything like that, but to get another body in that room is key. Joe Sloan gave him the green light, and he made the decision a couple of days back and announced it today.
What is the latest with Colin Hurley? Have you heard anything?
There's not much to say about Colin Hurley just because he's a minor. I mean, he's only 17 years old, so you can't have people reporting on it. The only people that can report on it are his family, and the only time that people can really speak on it is when they make those statements and make those announcements. So it's quiet for all the right reasons. It should be quiet. It's a unique situation. Obviously, prayers up to Colin. Great kid, great family. But no kind of buzz, no updates recently other than the fact that he's stable and his family is hoping that he can make a full recovery.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I mean, dude, it's crazy. He was a 16-year-old come freshman on campus. So, yeah, wish him the best. Obviously, he might be the future of LSU football. So, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, it gets better. All right, you ready to move to LSU baseball?
Yeah, man, we're right around the corner, dude. Like we've officially entered. Like we're what do you want to call it? We're in the batter's box right now. Like we're on deck. We're less than 2 weeks away. It's an exciting time for this team, and they're working through preseason scrimmages still. I know the buzz that we want to talk about is kind of like some starter predictions and whatnot. Jay Johnson has just an embarrassment of riches to work with. He's going to be rotating lineups probably almost every single weekend leading up to SEC play. He has so many players to work with, dude.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy because I was asking you before the pod, I was like, do you want to talk about, possible starters? And you didn't even know where to take it. I mean, they got 3-4 catchers, that are loaded. Who do you think will be the day one starter for their catching position?
I spoke to somebody who's been at a lot of the practices and stuff, and somebody internally as well, who really think that it could be Cade Anderson, the sophomore, which would be super intriguing to me because he really burst on the scene towards the end of last year as a true freshman, and now he's starting to take strides in the right direction as well in preseason camp. He did good during fall ball, of course, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Preseason practice is where things start to ramp up right now once you're less than a month away, and he's been playing really well. He's been lights out. So, you got him in the mix. You got Connor Ware, William Schmidt, the true freshman as well. You can go on and on. The pitching staff is deep as hell. I mean, it's going to be exciting. You have probably 5 or 6 guys who could honestly start if you need them on weekend duties.
So Chase Shores is your one, and then Cade Anderson's possibly 2.
Those are 2 guys that could be your Friday night starters. I wouldn't be surprised to see them ease Chase Shores in the mix for the first couple of weeks and not necessarily be your Friday night starter come next weekend. If they do, I mean, good. Kudos to him because he's a freak of nature. This is a guy who has first-round buzz behind him. But Cade Anderson's been a guy who's been exceeding expectations and really taking that jump. So I think if you were going to kind of look for that clear-cut guy, it's going to be Anderson or Chase Shores.
And then what about the catcher position?
Catcher position is going to be fun, man. You got Luis Hernandez from Indiana State, like you and I were talking about before the show. And, he's a slugger. Like, this is a guy who can hit the hell out of the ball. He's consistent behind home plate. And then you also have Cade Arrambide. And I'm sure I pronounced that wrong too. So for anybody listening, it's either Arrambide or Arrambide. But I'm going to go with Arrambide. And that's a true freshman who is going to make some big-time plays this year for the team. And we've seen Jay Johnson work with 2 catchers on the weekends before, maybe put one in during the midweek game on that Tuesday as well. So it's not new for Jay to work with 2 catchers during the season. Luis Hernandez and Cade are going to be the 2 that they work with. You got your savvy veteran, and then you throw in your true freshman to get in the mix as well. It's a recipe for success, and I don't think Jay Johnson's shying away from that.
Do you think Dalton Beck will get any playing time at catcher, or do you think he's kind of a DH first base kind of thing, or what are you thinking there?
He's a jack of all trades, man. He can do it all. Would I be surprised? There's nothing that at this point would catch me off guard with this team. You have guys who can play all over the place. So, no, it wouldn't surprise me to see him behind the plate. But DH would certainly seem to be his bread and butter for right now. Still early. We haven't even had opening day, so we're going to have a lot of different rotations come to the mix. But during preseason practice, you've seen him work at a DH and other roles. So that'll be a fun one to watch. He's so exciting at the plate.
Are there any penciled in guys? I feel like there's none. Like besides Jared Jones at first base, but like other than that, like I feel like everything's open.
It's wide open. And for me, Derek Curiel, the true freshman, he's going to play in the outfield somewhere. He's going to start, whether it's right field, left field, wherever you want him, he's going to succeed. I mean, this is a guy who everybody believes has next. To bypass the MLB draft and come to Baton Rouge was huge for him to make his way to campus. I mean, William Schmidt, the pitcher from Catholic High right down the road, that's your headliner, of course. But you also got Arrambide, who bypassed the draft, and then you got Derek Curiel. So that's a trio of true freshmen that are going to make an impact. And coming back to it, if you're penciling in a starter, it's probably Jared Jones, Milam, somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say Milam's a lock to start, but it's just a matter of like second, short, third. I mean, you really don't know. Yeah, you don't know. What is the latest with him? Like, does anyone have any idea where he's gonna play?
I think the left side is where you're gonna see him really take strides. I think second base would be fun, of course, but what you do with Michael Braswell is where you're gonna have to figure out where Stephen Milam really works out. I wouldn't be surprised to see him at shortstop and you potentially put Braswell at third, but it's just too early. And I'm still trying to get the wheels turning in baseball season and for me to start to kind of get locked in on that. I would say the left side is where I would put him to start. We'll see where Jay ultimately does, but I would say the left side, whether it's shortstop or third.
If Milam was like 3 inches taller, I don't think this is even a discussion. Like he's your day one shortstop. Like he's that good. So yeah, I mean size plays a little bit of a role in it, but yeah, Braswell, Milam. Who else would be playing second base? I'm trying to think.
It's a great question. I feel like you have an embarrassment of riches to choose from. There's a bunch of people who can play in the infield, and that's why this team is so exciting, dude. That's why it's another Omaha or bust season for them because the depth is ridiculous, and it's a bunch of newcomers. You're only bringing back like a dozen players from 2024, and obviously your headliner there is Jared Jones, and obviously Cade Anderson too, and Chase Shore is coming off the injury, but nonetheless, it's fresh. It's a fresh team, and this is where you're going to start to see things kind of ramp up over the next couple of days during practice.
Yes. So day one prediction for the outfield, what would it be for you?
Derek Curiel is my penciled in starter.
For what, center field?
No, I'll probably put him in right.
Where does Larson go? Dude, it's tough.
Yeah.
I thought Curiel was a center fielder, no?
You could put him in center field. He's done everything. He's worked at right field a little bit during preseason practice is where he's gotten some reps. But he's a guy who can go all over. We saw Dylan Cruz do that when he was on campus as well during his first season. So for me, look, let's do that then. Let's put Curiel at center. We'll put Larson at right field, and then potentially Pearson at left. I mean, that's what you could potentially be working with.
Stanfield, Pearson,
They're so
Brown.
loaded.
They haven't even talked about Brown, Jake Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Who are there any other outfielders? I guess maybe one or two freshmen that could rotate in.
Those are probably your five that you're going to work with is Stanfield, Brown, Larson, Pearson, and Curiel. I think those are the five that you're going to see take a majority of, I'm not going to say reps, but we'll say innings for this team. And that's five starters at any other program. They could go to any other SEC program and probably start on opening day if need be. So it's just a testament to how well Jay Johnson recruits. It's ridiculous what he does at the high school ranks and then carries it into the transfer portal too.
It is pretty crazy. I mean, I've seen stuff on Stanfield in the offseason and like, oh, he could be a leadoff guy. And then you're like, oh, no, I thought, I even thought about Dickinson. Dickinson. Yeah. He was probably like your number one transfer, what everyone was saying. So everyone thought he was going to be a leadoff hitter. He's probably going to play the infield. So it really is crazy. Jay Johnson's got a good problem to have, obviously. So we'll be pretty curious to see how it goes. I'm trying to think of any other storylines for LSU baseball.
Well, your pitching staff is obviously your really kind of headliner there. And I'm going to list off names and I'm going to forget some. So I can't get crucified for that. But Cade Anderson and Chase Shores, William Schmidt, Connor Ware, those are some guys to keep tabs on. Obviously, Jay Johnson during the kind of preseason media day was saying that they have 8 guys that they're really going to look to take an expanded role for this team. And that's just, again, just speaks volumes to the belief that he has in his pitching staff. You have 5 clear-cut guys and then another 3 that he believes can take some big-time reps. And the pitching staff is what a lot of people want to talk about. But the one thing that I want to talk about is just the power that they have at the plate. I think it's slept on. I think everybody points to Jared Jones and then kind of falls back and says, like, okay, well, what now? what else do you have other than Jared Jones? And that's when you and I were talking earlier about Luis Hernandez, Dalton Beck, Curiel can have some pop to it as well. You have guys that can really get on base. Daniel Dickinson might not be the most powerful hitter in the world, but he's consistent, and he showed that at Utah Valley. So you have guys that can get on base, and obviously that's key to winning games. It's no secret. That's how you win ball games. So the pitching staff is going to take a lot of noise, but I think the power at the plate and the consistent hitting is a piece that doesn't need to be shied away from as well.
Yeah, I think LSU this year. I think you're losing some home runs with White, some other guys, but I think this team's gonna be a team that's gonna be death by 1,000 cuts. Like you're just gonna get on base a lot. So I could see Jones going from maybe like the 3-hole to the 4-hole or maybe the 5th hole, and just Dickinson get on base. Milam's pretty good at getting on base. They have a lot of guys that can get on base. So maybe a lot of singles and doubles here and there, and then you just getting guys on base, which they struggled to do last year. They were kind of a lot of times during the season last year, they really relied on home runs, and I think it was a big detriment to the team. So I do think they'll on base percentage will probably go up for sure. Do you know have you heard anything about any JUCO guys that have come in? I know Tanner Reeves and some other guys. Was Connor Ware JUCO guy? Where did
Connor Ware's the JUCO guy that I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
I think he's going to take on an expanded role for this team as well. So if I'm just going to sit back and pinpoint one JUCO guy, it's going to be Connor. He's impressed a lot of the staff, and he's looked impressive during preseason scrimmages. And the ones that I haven't been to, a lot of people have been posting some clips of him too, just looking lights out. So JUCO guys, Connor Ware is the one that I think a lot of people are having high expectations for.
Anyone else you've heard about or not really? I haven't really heard of or seen anything. Yeah. No, they got a lot of guys. What about any true freshmen that you've heard of?
The pitching staff or just in general?
Just in general, outside the guys you mentioned, like Mikey Ryan, Hogg. I'm trying to think who else.
Carson.
Yeah, they have a lot of guys. Dude, it really is crazy to talk about.
It's nuts, dude. Like he has 10% of the perfect game top 100 on campus right now. They didn't go to the draft. They believed in what Jay Johnson's building, and obviously NIL plays a factor nowadays as well. But to have those guys on campus, you have basically 3 of the top 15 players in America on campus right now in William Schmidt, Arrambide, and Curiel. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I know I've talked about those 3 just routinely, but I think those are going to be 3 that obviously take a big-time step and a big-time role with this team. And it starts with Curiel. There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of hype with what he can do. And I don't think anybody should ever put expectations like a Dylan Cruz on a guy like Curiel, because that's not fair. I think, Cruz is arguably the best player to ever come through Alex Box Stadium. But if he can be half of that, I think you're looking at a guy who's going to go down as a really talented player in Baton Rouge.
Who's your preseason MVP for LSU?
I'm going to stick with my consistent hitter, and that's going to be a guy like Jared Jones. I think he's so consistent at first base. He's continuing to grow. He can stretch like no other for his size. I love what he can do defensively. He was evolving a little bit last year in a new role, but now I think he's starting to get his feet wet and kind of get more comfortable at first base. And then at the plate, there's not too much to really talk about there. He's one of the most powerful hitters in the country, the most powerful hitter on LSU's team. So if I'm going to be basic, I'm going to go and say Jared Jones, because I believe that he can become that glue guy for this team. And then if I was to pick kind of a preseason freshman of the year, it's Curiel. If I'm looking at a freshman to really just dominate this year, it's Curiel. I think the hype is there, and I think I'd be doing him a disservice by not talking about him for maybe the 15th time today. So excited about what he can do, but MVP, preseason MVP is going to be Jones.
Yeah, I think Jones is a pretty safe answer. I'm gonna go Dickinson this year. I think from everything when he first transferred, everyone was talking him up like he was going to be the next big thing. So I'll go with that. Yeah, we'll see. I think he'll be the most consistent guy. Him and Milam are pretty consistent. So, I'm really excited for LSU baseball. So, Super Bowl predictions. Who you got?
I think the refs and the Chiefs can definitely pull that one off.
Refs and the Chiefs. I like that.
I see no reason. I can never bet against Mahomes. It's unfortunate. I'd have to ride with the Chiefs, and I don't know. I think they win by at least 7, or maybe I'll say 7, something along the lines of maybe 35-28, 28-21. And if it gets really close, maybe 28-24. But I got Mahomes and the Chiefs. I can't bet against them. I think everything goes in their favor in crunch time. We saw that during the regular season. They easily could have gone 8-9, 9-8, but ended the regular season, 15-2 or some madness like that. So for me, they figure out a way to get it done in crunch time. I'd have to ride with Mahomes and the Chiefs. And it sucks, man, because that's such a casual take and that's not a fun pick or a flashy one. But I think when it comes down to it, he's going to get it done. And a three-peat is crazy.
I don't. Yeah, I don't even think it's even casual takes. I just think it's the truth. It's just like
it's a damn game.
Yeah, they do it every single time. Like I was watching the Super Bowl, someone's like, "Why are you getting so mad?" I'm like, "Because it's the same shit every week,
every damn time, bro."
It's like it's just a joke. It's almost a joke at this point. So yeah, I'm not gonna pick against the Chiefs. I will say it's gonna be a low-scoring game. I will say like the Chiefs are just gonna zero in on Barkley and they're gonna make Hurts beat him with his arm. That's what I'm gonna go with. But
how is the Chiefs' run defense? I haven't had the chance to look into like the analytics or the numbers and stuff like that.
I don't know. I've been kind of zoned out on the NFL, but I do know like I do know that the defense is pretty solid. And if I would see, I'm the kind of guy that's like I'm not gonna make their best player beat me. I'm going to make someone else beat me. I'm that kind of guy. And I think the Chiefs are kind of like that as well. So at least that's how I would think. So I think they're going to limit Barkley. But we'll see. Who the hell knows? The Chiefs barely got by past few weeks. They're playing the Eagles. The Eagles are obviously a really good team to come out the NFC. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll take the Chiefs. I don't know. Boring ass Super Bowl again. Same shit every year. But yeah, we'll see. And then last thing is Brandon Ingram. We're going to get traded.
I think he gets traded. I'm just going to be the outlier there. Obviously, we were talking before saying that I can't use bad. I'm going to say the front office is too scared to make a.
You don't want to say the P word, Zach?
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Like a bunch of P's. They're not going to do that shit. It's just not going to happen. But I'm going to contradict myself and go against that and say I think they make a deal. Will they? No. But do I want them to? Yes.
Yeah. The only thing I've seen so far is like they don't want to take back future salary. So
and that's
we'll see.
Fair.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy what you could have gotten for him a year and a half ago, and then now you might let him walk. It's just I don't know. Might let him walk, go test free agency, get nothing in return, and then come back for $30 million, $40 million a year, whatever it is. But yeah, you can't watch Trey Murphy right now and think like, oh, we got to have Brandon Ingram back. At least that's how I would think. Like, I wouldn't even pay Brandon Ingram $30 million a year at this moment. So it's like, I don't know. But the Pelicans are a mess. They got talent. Cooper Flag, here we come. I'm looking forward to it. So
capture the flag.
Yeah, capture the flag. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, that's it. We crushed it. We got recruiting under our belt, some baseball talk, got some NFL in there, and then obviously the sorry Pelicans as well. So no, we got it all.
Yeah. So, all right. If you guys can like and subscribe, appreciate it. And see you next time.